To get that positive pregnancy test was just, I didn't want to play with my hormones that way. I was tired all the time. I had no motivation. I'm not here to judge you. Not a single moment of regret. Everything that I had worked for over the last few months was just gone. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Delilah if you are new, and in today's video I am going to be answering some of your questions. I love doing these Q&As every once in a while because it's a nice way for me to sort of reconnect with you. I am not able to answer and read every comment, every DM, so this is a nice way for me to get that one-on-one connection with you. I know we don't get that camaraderie of a conversation, an in-person conversation, but this is kind of the next best thing. This is kind of what I do with my long distance friends. We send video chats to one another, and so this is really what I want this video to feel like. So let's just imagine that you're over one morning, our kids are playing in the other room, I'm making you a cup of coffee, and we're eating some baked goods, and we just get to have a conversation together. So if you do not have a cup of coffee or a snack, you should do so that we can enjoy that together. And I'm just gonna get right into this. As per usual, I went over to Instagram and I had you ask me some questions. I have a lot of questions that I want to answer today. We probably won't get through all of them, but we're going to try. My kids are currently in quiet time, so there may be some interruptions during this video. We'll see how far we get. But the first question I wanted to start with was one that I didn't get in this question box specifically, but I have been getting frequently ever since I shared my Merit makeup products about a month ago. I've had so many questions of people wanting to know how I'm liking the products, people wanting to know what my makeup routine is like, people asking me about what I'm using on my face. And so I want to say a huge thank you to Merit Beauty for sponsoring today's video. I never accept a sponsorship without first trying the products and ensuring that I really enjoy the products and use them every single day. And so Merit was really sweet to send over some products, and I've been using them literally every single day since I got them because I love them so much. Some of you might not believe me when I say that I used to wear a lot of makeup when I was about like 16, 17, 18, even up into my 20s. I wore makeup every day. I wore bright lips, I wore eyeshadow, I wore eyeliner, I wore makeup a lot. I've tried my fair share of beauty products in the past, and I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that these are by far the nicest makeup products I've ever used. Their goal is to leave your skin feeling better and looking better after using the products instead of making it worse. So they're very selective about the ingredients in their products. They made sure that it is safe for all skin types. It's great for oily skin, it's great for dry skin, it's even safe for people with acne prone skin. I love a brand that is careful and selective about the ingredients that they use in their products, especially something that I'm going to be putting on my face. I'm just gonna zoom you in a little bit so that we can do this together. I purposely did not wear makeup today because I wanted to show you. The first thing that I want to share is the Minimalist, which is not a foundation, it's not a concealer, it's kind of everything in one. This is probably the product I'm most excited about because this is the only face product that I've ever used that is actually light enough for my skin tone. All my life I have struggled to find makeup products, foundations, concealers that are light enough for my pale skin. I have been wearing products that are way too dark for my skin, and you can always tell when I'm wearing makeup because it just didn't match. I am in the shade Ceramic, which is the lightest shade that they carry. It applies so smooth and so well. You need a very small amount of this. It's called the Minimalist for a reason because a little really goes a long way. I'm gonna blend this in with the Merit #1 brush. I'm going to show you just how beautifully this blends in. I always get a little bit nervous when it comes to like makeup sticks because my skin is very dry, and so products like these often tend to cake up on my skin and crack, and it's just not nice. But this goes on so smooth. I would say it's like a light to medium coverage, which is exactly what I look for in a foundation. It's very buildable. I can just add a little bit more and blend it in. I love that one product does the job of two products. I am all about efficiency, especially as a busy mom of 4. I can do my makeup so quickly using these products. Coffee break. I'm going to add some color to my cheeks with one of Merit's Flush Bombs. I've heard so much about Merit's blushes, but I didn't understand the hype until I tried it myself. These are beautiful. I think I'm going to do Beverly Hills. Let me show you up close. This is a cream blush that glides on so smooth. Just going to apply some to the tops of my cheeks. I also really like to apply it just to my nose, like that. These go on sheer, but again, they're very buildable, just like the Minimalist. And I love that. I do not like very pigmented products because I can never apply it properly and then I end up ruining my whole face of makeup. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but in person, my skin looks really happy and healthy and dewy, and it doesn't even look like I'm wearing makeup. Moving on to brows, I'm using the Brow 1980 by Merit, and this is actually a pomade. And I don't know why, it has taken me my entire life to finally use a pomade. This is life-changing, especially as a busy mom. Like, I don't have time to be fiddling with my makeup. I'm using the color dark brown. I'm looking in the mirror because this is really hard to do in the viewfinder, but I'm just brushing it through my brows. It's that simple. You can see the difference from this one to this one, and it's such a beautiful, natural look. This product saves me so much time in the morning, it's ridiculous. Just like that, my brows are done. The last product I use on a daily basis is the Merit Shave Slick. This is in the color Mapleton, and it is the most beautiful color I think I've ever put on my lips. This is a lip oil, which means that there's no caking, it goes on smooth, it lasts a long time, and then my lips don't get dry and cakey. It actually helps moisturize my lips, which is exactly what I need in this dry weather that we're having right now. You can tell it's quite subtle, which I personally love. I don't love wearing a really bright lip. I am obsessed. These products are beautiful. They're also offering one of these really cute makeup bags free with every first order. This is cute. This has replaced my old makeup bag. You can check out my Merit favorites and a number of exclusive discounted sets that are only available through my link in the description box. Plus, you get a free bag with your first order. Make sure to go and check them out. Thank you so much, Merit, for sponsoring today's video and for making my makeup routine so much simpler as a busy mom. Okay, now that my makeup is done, I have a few things that I want to get done around the house. So I'm just going to take you with me as I do those things. We're going to answer some questions. Does the Bible say anything about piercings, and when did you get your piercings done? Now, I'm going to be honest, I have not done a deep dive about this topic in the Bible, and it's something I want to do. This is something I should probably know more about, especially considering I have piercings. But from my knowledge and understanding, the Bible does not directly discuss piercings. In fact, in Genesis 24, I think it is, Rebecca, who is soon to be Isaac's wife, was gifted gold bracelets and a gold ring for her nose. Jewelry and piercings are very common in those days, and I don't think the Bible ever says anything against having piercings. That being said, I really think it's a personal conviction. Some people really don't feel comfortable with piercings. They don't feel that it's right, and that is their own conviction. Some people feel completely different. Obviously, I have piercings. I got them between the ages of 16 and 20. These were the first ones I got. Then I got a belly button ring, which came out in my second pregnancy. I got this one, which I've actually been considering taking out. I think I might actually just take this one out now. I don't even really want this one anymore. I haven't touched this in probably 10 years. I don't even remember how to do this. I don't know if I even can take it out. I'm gonna have to fiddle with that later. I can't do it. Anyway, I also have my nose piercing, which I think I actually got when I was in my first trimester with my first child. That's one I actually really like. I feel like it suits my face really well. And it's something that people don't even notice when they first get to know me. It's one of those things that they notice randomly later on. This one and these guys are ones that are gonna stay. Once I can figure out how to take that one out, it's gonna come out. But for me, when I got my piercings, it was really just a matter of curiosity. My motive behind it wasn't derived by anything sinful. I was just curious, honestly. I wanted to know what it felt like. I wanted to know what it would look like. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with piercings, but I know everyone has their own feelings about it. And so I'm not here to judge you. I also haven't deep dived into this, so I don't really know what the Bible says about it, but to each their own. Moving over to my bedroom, I want to strip and wash our bedding. How do you stay on top of toy organization, toy rotations, and declutters? Frequently. We do a toy rotation maybe once a month or so, and every time I do a rotation, I'm also decluttering. Like, I'm constantly going through our stuff. This is the only way that I'm able to stay on top of toy organization. When we do our declutters, we also organize everything. So we go through like all the doll accessories, all the cars, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. We also try to keep our toy collection very minimal. It has shrunk a lot over the years. There was a time when we had a ton of toys and it felt so overwhelming, so stimulating. My kids didn't even really play with their toys because it was just too much. Every time I declutter more toys, I feel like I can declutter more. We mostly just keep the basics, like very open-ended toys, toys that can be played with in multiple different ways. If a toy hasn't been played with in a month or two, and it's not one of those open-ended toys, it gets donated. Do you wean your babies from nursing? And if you do, how do you decide when? Weaning has come very naturally. I think the only time that I kind of had to push it a little bit more was with my first child, and that was just because I had my first and second kids pretty close together. I didn't want to do tandem nursing. I wanted to be done nursing one child before the next child was born. And really it just started as dropping the feed that they were most uninterested in, and dropping one feed at a time. We did it very, very slowly. I've never gone cold turkey. I didn't want to play with my hormones that way or have to go through that with my child, because it's obviously really hard for the child as well. I'm thankful that I've been able to do it slowly with each of my children. I know not every mom is able to do that, but it just happens quite naturally over time. Currently my youngest is almost 1.5. This is around the time when we are starting to consider being done nursing. Now she is not done yet, I'm not done yet. We are still nursing in the morning, at night, and then throughout the night if she needs it. She doesn't always wake up for that. But the day feeds we cut out as she grew uninterested in them. We replaced those feeds with snacks and meals. The next feed will probably be the morning feed, because when she wakes up I can bring her straight to the breakfast table and feed her food. And then whenever she starts sleeping through the night is when we're going to be done with the night feeds. But for all of my babies, it's kind of worked out that we're done nursing right around that like 1.5 to 2 year mark, like somewhere in there, and it's worked really well for us. Okay, the next question is, expecting our second baby, what helped you most with the transition from 1 to 2? For me, I mean, we were in a good position when we had our second child, because my husband had just been laid off from his job, but that's when YouTube really started picking up. He was then able to choose to stay home, and we had the extra help. But I will say, being confident in myself and what I knew and in my role as mother helped tremendously with my second child. I even remember one of the nurses coming in when I was in the hospital with Theo, and she was like, "You're one of the easiest patients I think we've ever had," because I didn't need anything. I knew what I was doing. I was confident in myself. I was confident in breastfeeding and everything that I had learned from my first child. So if I could give any piece of advice, I would say be confident in yourself and your God-given role as a mother. You know your child best. I mean, God chose you to be your child's mother, and that's really cool. And you can be confident in that, knowing that that child was placed in your care for a reason. When and how often is your me time outside the house, and what do you do in it? My me time outside the house is very rare and not necessary for me. I know everyone's different. Some people really like to get out of the house and to get that space and be alone for a while. That's not me. I certainly enjoy the quiet. I think that's something every mother needs in some way, shape, or form. Just having some time to recollect your thoughts and pray, draw near to the Lord, and reset yourself, fill up your cup so that you can pour into your children and the people in your life. For me, that is not outside the home. For me, that looks like spending an evening or a Sunday afternoon quietly crocheting, or spending some time in the kitchen doing some baking. Zach will sometimes try and send me out of the house to like get some work done at a cafe, or if I have to go run errands one day, he's like, "Go grab a coffee and treat yourself." I love that he encourages me to do that, but that's just not something that I feel like I need to do. Instead of going out and grabbing a coffee, I would much prefer to just sit in quiet solitude for an hour and crochet. So for me, I really don't get me time outside of the house. Not because I can't, but because I choose not to. How did you know when you were ready to have your first baby? I just knew. I wanted a baby so bad. I physically hurt. I can't really explain what that feels like, but that's the only way I can really describe it, is I just wanted a child so badly that it hurt. So to get that positive pregnancy test was just, it was so exciting. I can't put it into words. How do you include your kids in chores? This is something we started doing pretty early on. I think My oldest was about 1.5 when I first started getting her to help me tidy up. I mean, your child doesn't have to be very old to know how to put things into a basket. So I would get Eloise to help me clean up her toys at the end of the day. Clean up was something that has just always been expected of my children. It wasn't until more recently that we started making it more of a priority and actually making like allotted chore times throughout the day where they would have to do these certain tasks. Our routine and our chore system has changed over the years. Right now we do a midday tidy up, which we call blessing time. Where I just set a timer for 5 minutes and everybody in the house is required to just clean up whatever they see that needs to be put away as fast as they can for 5 minutes. This helps so much in just maintaining the home and not allowing it to get to a point where it feels really overwhelming. Then at the end of the day, after quiet time, before supper, is when we do cleanup time, and this is when they're expected to more thoroughly clean their rooms and clean the playroom and the living room and any areas that they have been playing throughout the day. They also have dinner chores, which rotate every week. They rotate through wiping the table, doing the dishwasher, and clearing the table. My 3-year-old does this too, but I obviously expect more from my 7-year-old than I do from my 3-year-old. If you could tell yourself something as a first-time mom, what would it be? I think if I were to give myself advice as a first-time mom, it would be to not sweat the small stuff. It doesn't matter if their last feed was only an hour ago. It doesn't matter if their last feed was 4 hours ago. They'll let you know when they're hungry. I just remember as a first-time mom being so lost and confused because there was so much information being thrown at me by so many different people and so many different opinions that I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know what was right, what was wrong. People were telling me all sorts of different information that were conflicting with each other, and I was so overwhelmed. Looking back to who I was 7 years ago when I had my first child to now with my 4th, I've learned so much. I've grown more confident in myself and what I know about my children and how I like to parent and what works best for us. Even going from my first to my second, like I was saying before, I had so much more confidence and it made it so much easier. Now, of course, this is hard when you're a first-time mom and you haven't experienced any of these things yet. It certainly does come with experience. I just wish I could go back and tell my younger self not to worry about all the little details because ultimately it doesn't really matter. I would keep track of every feed, every poop, when they slept, how long they slept, and I would stress myself out over this chart that I was making and trying to find some consistency in it, but there are newborns. Newborns don't have consistency. They're all over the place. Anyway, moving on. Best way to integrate room sharing with kiddos. So currently we have 2 and 2, 2 boys in one room, 2 girls in the other room. For a while it was a nursery and 3 children in one room. And we've had some experiences with transitioning. And I did talk about this in a previous video, which I can link down below. I went into more detail in that video. But my biggest piece of advice is try and get them at the right age. For us, that age was around 1.5. If you transfer too soon, they're probably still waking up throughout the night, and then that's difficult for the older child who has to then listen to the crying in the middle of the night. Transferring too late is difficult because they are so used to sleeping on their own that it's really hard for them to adjust to sleeping with other people. This time around, we transferred Annie when she was just over 1, and it was the perfect time. The transition went so well. My kids have been downstairs playing with Lego for probably 2 hours at this point. Like, I've hardly heard them. I am making a second batch of bread this week. It's only Wednesday. I'm already on my second batch of bread because my kids' favorite food right now is jam toast. And we've been going through bread like crazy. Please share your hair care routine. There they are. It is looking so beautiful and healthy. Can't see it right now because today was hair washing day, so it's just kind of up. I'm gonna let it dry for about a day before I curl it tomorrow. It's really quite simple. I wash my hair once a week. I really love Be Kind products. It's a Canadian company. Super clean products, really, really nice. You know what? I don't think I need flour. I'm gonna go put this away. The Be Kind hair mask, I think it's the Nourish and Repair hair mask or something. That is my favorite product ever. But as for styling my hair, I just curl it once a week. I make sure that my hair is fully dry before I curl it, otherwise the curl doesn't stick. And I curl it with a tighter barrel because I find if I curl my hair with a larger barrel, the curls don't last. And so I'll curl it with a tighter barrel and then it just loosens up throughout the week. And I've been doing the same thing for quite a while now, and I'm really loving where my hair is at. It's pretty low maintenance, it's really healthy right now, and very thick. Expecting my third, how do you juggle so many littles, especially when sick? So a friend of mine is expecting her third right now. She's having a hard time with her two, and I just keep telling her it just gets easier. The more kids you have, the easier it gets. It's weird how it works. I don't know how it works, but that's how it works. I remember being in that position when we had two. I was expecting my third, even when we did have our third and they were still quite little. It was hard. Those were some hard days, beautiful days, like so many good memories, but it was challenging. Somewhere along the way after that, things just started getting easier. My kids started to play together more. As they got older, they were able to help out around the house more. I mean, every day I grow more confident in being a mother and the decisions that I make within our home, and we're constantly refining our routine, and over time it gets easier, I promise. To anyone, any mom who is in the thick of it right now, trust me, it gets easier. But I will say, it doesn't feel like our family is a large family until everyone is sick. You just gotta take it day by day, hour by hour even. Do your best, rely on the Lord, and you'll get through it. I learned this trick from my friend Sarah. Just cut a rectangle out of your parchment paper, make 4 cuts just like this, then fold along those cuts, and you've got a perfect piece of parchment paper for your loaf dance. Are you ever hesitant to tell people you meet about your YouTube channel? Yes, it's definitely not something that I will ever bring up, especially when I'm meeting new people. It's not something I want to advertise or tell people about, because I feel like sometimes people don't look at you the same way when they know that you have somewhat of a presence on the internet. I don't want this to interfere with my personal life and the people that I meet. I really like to keep social media separate from my personal life, which is why you don't see friends and family members on here, because these are 2 separate spaces for me. I've had to create some of these boundaries to protect my family, protect my friends. Are any of the littles picky eaters? If so, any tips? All of my kids have gone through a picky phase. It is very, very normal. All my children have been really good with eating up until about 2, and then they start to get a little bit picky, and then they'll go through this phase, and it'll be like that for a few years, and then eventually they start to grow out of it. For us, when it comes to picky eating, I will never force my child to eat something that they genuinely just don't like. We encourage them to try new things, and even to try the same thing over and over again, because there have been a number of times when we were consistent like this and we made them continue to try these foods. They have later changed their minds, especially as they're starting to grow out of their picky phase. Whereas if we never made them try these foods again, they probably still wouldn't like them. It's a matter of being consistent, encouraging them to continue trying, and being patient, because it's gonna take time. And there will be certain foods that they will just never like, and that's okay. I have so many more questions left. I'm not gonna get through all of these. How do you balance getting things done but giving your little ones attention? One of my favorite ways of doing this is getting them involved in what I'm doing, because there are a lot of things that I do in a day that I can't just not do, you know? Like, there's a lot of things that are required of me that are required of me. They're necessary. The best way to spend time with them is to have them do it with me, or just be in the room with me and we can chat and hang out. They really like getting involved as well, doing what mommy's doing. But of course, there are times when I need to just set my own things down and spend, 5 minutes with them, just one-on-one, no distractions. Tips for limiting phone usage. First of all, just being aware of how much I'm on my phone. And being aware of how much they're seeing me on my phone. When my third child was about 1.5, when he wanted to nurse, he would go and get my phone and he would bring it to me. And that was how he would ask to nurse, because every time he nursed, I was on my phone. And that was really, really eye-opening to me, because I realized my 1.5-year-old is picking up on this. This is how much I'm on my phone, that my 1.5-year-old thinks that the only way he's gonna be nursed is if I have my phone. And so he gets it for me. Like, It was eye-opening. After that moment, I realized just how bad it had gotten, and I was a lot more aware of how often I was on my phone when the kids were around, and also just in general. So I started setting limits for myself. I actually went into my phone settings and I set a time limit for social media specifically. I think you can set time limits for whatever apps that you want. This has helped a lot with my phone usage. When you're burnt out, what home tasks do you let slide and what stays priority? This is a really good question. I recently went through a period of extreme burnout. I was tired all the time. I had no motivation, and I ended up letting a lot of things go just because I didn't have it in me to do those things. One of the first things that I let go is how much effort I'm putting into a meal. So I'll choose meals that are just a lot more simple, don't require as much time or effort. Meals with fewer ingredients, one-pot meals, 30-minute meals, easy to clean up meals. That was one thing I could really simplify. Are you still enjoying your exercise routine? I will admit I have not actually done any workouts since the beginning of November. There was a while where I was doing really good, like throughout the summer I was working out and making it a priority, really working on building up my strength and healing my ab separation, and it was going really well and I was starting to feel stronger and more capable. Then I broke my toe. And it sounds like the most lame excuse to stop working out, but I couldn't do anything. It was a pretty bad break, and any sort of movement was tough. Like I couldn't jump, I could barely walk. This was really discouraging for me because it was really hard for me, someone who hates working out, to get into that rhythm and to find that motivation. And because I had been doing it for a while, I had built up quite a bit of strength. It was really disheartening to have to stop. Everything that I had worked for over the last few months was just gone. I have since not gotten back into the routine because after that we got into the busiest season of our lives. I didn't have time to work out at all. Then Christmas came, then I got sick, then I went through a period of burnout, and now we're kind of finally at the stage where I'm thinking I'm gonna start it up again. So hopefully next week I can find the motivation to get back into it. I'm making bread, but I'm also making pita for supper tonight. We're doing chicken shawarma, which is a new recipe for me, but I'm excited to give it a try. How have you felt starting a family pretty young? Any regrets? Not a single moment of regret. I have always wanted to start a family young, and I'm so grateful that that was the Lord's plan for us. Zach too, he loves that we started having a family young. We don't feel like we missed out on anything. I know people say that they want to live a little, they want to go travel, they want to go do stuff before having kids, but to us, traveling is so much more memorable and meaningful when we can do it with our kids. We get to travel with our kids, and it's so cool, and it's such a blessing. And years down the road, we'll get to be young grandparents, and that is something that we really look forward to as well. Okay, this is where I'm going to end today's video. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope that you enjoyed. If you have any questions for me for future Q&A videos, make sure to go follow me over on Instagram. That's the easiest place for me to gather questions from you. So you can follow me over there. Don't forget to check Merit in the description box. And yeah, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.